Okay, so this tutorial is going to be very basic. We're going to talk about the nodes that people don't really talk about if you go in the YouTube. Um, and these are going to be the mesh topology nodes, which we currently have. And currently, right now, I'm having Blender 3.4, and according to my research, 3.6 and 3.4 in terms of the mesh topology nodes, they didn't really add more. Um, they are kind of the same, so I bet this video is going to help you understand what the mesh topology nodes are. So by starting off, I'll select everything and just delete, and I'm just going to add in a mesh plane. Okay, and I'll just tab into the edit mode and I'll just zoom in a bit. So first thing first is we need to know the components that make up a mesh so that we can actually know what the mesh topology nodes are going to do. See, if someone was to ask me what mesh topology nodes are, I could just tell them that mesh topology nodes are like these nodes that sort of one part of a mesh can sort of access information from other elements within a mesh. For example, a vertex can access information of the connected edges towards it using using a mesh topology node, or maybe a face corner. Sometimes also there is some good relationship between an edge and a vertex, whereby an edge can also access some information from its connecting vertices, or this information which we normally call is an attribute. And this is what just the mesh topology nodes, just a vertex accessing information of its connected edges, or from another vertex with of its connected edges, or a face of its corners, vertices, so on. Just that a mesh topology nodes, they are just a part of an element in a mesh accessing information from other parts of within a mesh. Okay, so if I was to ask somebody what a mesh is made up of, they would simply tell me a mesh is made up of a vertex, an edge, and it can also sometimes contain a face. And they might be right, but there's one element that it's actually it feels like you can't see it, and that element is a face corner. Okay, there is this element that is found over here. Okay, and that is a face corner, and there is an attribute that actually stays within these face corners, and that attribute is a UV map. And this can give you a hint that in the future, when you're trying to make UV maps for a mesh, when you're trying to texture it and you're using geometry nodes, try to keep the information, instead of keeping it within points, which we normally say as vertex when it comes to meshes, try to keep it in face corners. Okay, and as there is this kind of relationship in a mesh whereby a vertex can be connected by various number of edges, um, or various number of faces. An edge is, despite being limited to only two vertices, it can have tons of numbers of faces connected to it. A face can have multiple edges, multiple vertices. A face corner is sort of very limited. A face corner, which is these ones over here, can only have a single vertex. Okay, this face, these corners here can only have a single vertex, and can always only belong to one face, as you can see. And these ones can only be connected to two edges. Okay, like this corner here over here is connected to this edge, and also this edge that you're seeing right now. This one here is also connected to this edge and this edge. These are very limited, and somehow corners are given like so much priority in the geometry nodes, especially in the most topology nodes. We will see that as we go on. And now you have understood that a mesh is made up of 4 elements, and that is a vertex, an edge, a face, and its corners, which are the face corners. And the face corners keep this information or attribute that you can say, which is like a flat 2D vector, which is the UV map, which is used in texturing. And I said that if you're trying to texture something, try to keep the information in the UV map rather than the vertex. So let's learn something. How does the index flow in face corners? How does it actually roll? Like, how does Blender give its indexes to the face corners? Okay, because it's actually going to be very important as we move on. I'll explain as we jump into the nodes, and keep in mind this video is mainly educational, not something of making something cool, just trying to make somebody understand like what the mesh topology nodes does. Okay, and you'll see how sometimes they can be very powerful. It's just that people don't talk about it much, maybe because sometimes people don't understand what they actually do. So I'm just going to rub all this. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to Control R here just to add some more loop cuts. And over here I'm just going to Control B, vertex, and increase the number. Yeah, something like this looks nice. And Control X that. I think I'll just loop it to a circle, something like this. Yeah, so in this mesh that I just made, it has 5 faces. Okay, and each faces has its corners. Okay, like this face, this face over here, this, and this. Each face has its corners. So how is Blender actually going to name this? So I'm going to give you a very simple example. So I'm going to ask you to do something like, imagine like you're a certain person over here and you are bounded by the edges, and you're told to count like every corner that is found on these faces. Okay, when someone who is over here can easily count, can just say, hey, there are 6 corners, because it says here 1 2 3 4 5 6. But and also someone over here can also be the same, can say these are 6 corners, these are 6 corners, 6 corners. But someone over here, he might be easily count, but what if the points become a lot? Okay, what personally someone who is more orderly could do is simply, let me show you what he will simply do, is that he will come here and count 1, and will come here and count 2, and will come here and count 3, then we'll go 4, and so on, 5 and 6. Someone over here will start counting 1 2 3 4 5 6, and someone there will do in the same way, in this continuous fashion, as you can see, in this way, in a very systematic manner along the boundaries of a face. And actually, to your surprise, you might wonder how amazing this is. Blender actually names the indexes of the face corners within a mesh in the same manner, it's like it goes to it starts counting like among all faces which has the lowest index. It goes to that one with the lowest index, which is the index of 0, and it starts counting from a vertex where has the lowest value in that face, and start counting from there in a continuous manner along the boundaries of the face till it reaches the end vertex. Like for example, if this has a index of 0 and this vertex over here has also an index of 0, this has a value of 1, 2, 3, Blender will start counting from here the value of 1. You start counting here 0 actually. Indexes in Blender start from 0. Then if this one, the index here maybe is 2, and here the index is 3, then 4, it will start counting going in this direction, then it will go and go until it comes back here in that sort of fashion. From here it continues, and yeah, in that manner, starting going in the lowest from the highest to the lowest in that continuous fashion. This information is going to be helpful, especially understanding the vertices, the offset corner node that we're going to be showing you very soon, like right now, the mesh topology nodes. So without any further ado, I already said what a mesh is made of, its elements, its components, and I already said on how the indexes flow within for face corners, because it seems like a new part to some people like me when I was trying to understand what the mesh topology nodes do. So what I'm going to now show you is what the nodes look like in relation to what I just said. So let's dive in. So let's go to the geometry nodes. Let me just reduce this spreadsheet window and move it here and click on the new. So first thing, I might not even touch these nodes. I'm just going to add this, go to the mesh topology, and we have all these nodes. So let me just add them each one by one. We have the corner, okay, I already added all the nodes that we are going to use to explain each and every node that we're going to, that is actually there in the mesh topology nodes. So each node that we're seeing here gives out information that is specifically going to a certain domain. Most of these are giving information that are going to the corners of the mesh. That's why I specifically talked more about the face corners than other parts, but other parts I will show you exactly what I mean. So here you can see we have the corner of faces, corner of vertices, edges of corner, vertex of corner, offset corner in face of corner, stuff like that. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I want to separate this, because as you can see, corners of vertex and edges of vertex are like somehow related in terms of face index, and as well as this corner of faces, as they have these weights sort index, I want to keep them aside for once. Okay, and let's talk about these smaller nodes that we have here. So we have edges of corner, we have face of corner. As you can see, it's written face of corner, meaning that a corner can only belong to one single face. Okay, and we have offset corner in face, and we have the vertex of corner. So with starting, let's talk about the edges of corner. So remember when I said about the index flow on how it goes? So let me just annotate something, a certain face that we can use, like this one over here. Let me just write here, maybe this is the this one has a face corner index of 1. This one 0, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so this is a face corner, this is a face corner, over here is a face corner, as well as this part, and this part. Those are face corners. So what the edges of corners does, like remember when this index naming goes in this direction, and this one is attached to two edges. This one over here, that corner is attached to that edge, and this corner is also attached to this edge. This edge, according to this index flow over here, where I wrote this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, this one will be the previous edge, this one will be the next edge for this one, for this corner. For this corner on the other side, this one will be the previous, this one will be the next. For this corner, this one will be the next, this one will be previous, continuing in this flow. Okay, that is how this node works. That the first this swing, sorry, let me just rub like this. For this corner over here, this is the previous, this is the next. For this one, if you're going in this direction, this one here will be the previous for this corner, and this one will be the next for this corner. That's how it works. But what about this corner index? Sometimes you want this one, instead of using its next index, edge index, or the previous edge index, you want it to have information of a different corner index completely. Okay, that it's not even like, if you want it to have the information of maybe this corner, and you know the index of this corner, you can just connect it here, and this one can have the information for this, even this one, by that index that you connected to this socket. You will see this, you'll be able to get the next edge index of this corner and this corner if you already know the index of that part. So we are done with the edges of corner. Then moving on to the face of corner. As you can see, it's very simple. You just have the face index and the index in face. Now remember when I said that there is this continuous, let me just rub it like this. Let me drop this down a bit. And remember when I said that there's this continuous flow that we are having in the naming, the index flow of the face corners, where we have here 1, 2, and the same way in this flow, in this manner. Now imagine that face of index is simple, like this corner belongs to which face, it gives that value. But the index in face is not actually the index of the face corner, but the index in face is like the spline parameter. If you are familiar with the spline parameter, like we have it gives the value of 0 to 1 for factor, or 0 to the length for the length part, or in the index it gives the value of 0 to the maximum index, to the maximum number in that spline. Like for example, in this index and face, for example, let's use this center one, this center face now. For example, this one here might have an index maybe of 7, then this one might have an index of 8, 9, 10, 11. This might have an index of 12. This might have an index of 13. This might have an index of 14, right? Simple as that. Now, instead of giving the index of this value, this index in face sees this floor arrangement where we start from 0, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It starts counting this as 0, then it goes again 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that manner. And it just goes in the floor, like instead of flowing like what was the previous index here, it just flows in that manner, like this. Like it goes from 0 to the highest number of the highest number of corner index, the number of corners in that face. That's all. And offset corner in index is simple. Remember this index flow that we're seeing right now. Let me grab here and rewrite 7 and 8 actually. Let me write here 7 and write here 8. Now for example, if you wanted information of this part, if you just add 1 here, you get 8. This one, you add 1, you get 9, 10, 11, 12. You just wanted to sort of offset that corner index, so that instead of starting from here, you wanted to start from here instead, and it starts naming and ends up here instead of starting here and ends up in this part. It's very simple. The corner index does exactly that. You can say that you add, but in the end of the time, numbers, for example here, if we add 1, it will be 9. It's okay. 9 will be 10, 10, 11, 12 be 12 will be 13, 13 will be 14. But for 14, it won't be 7. For 14, it will be 15. But you might not want that. You can do some complex calculation to make sure that the one which has the highest index in that face to be 7, like the minimum. You can do complex mathematics, but why should you do that when you already have a node that can simply does that? So that's all, like that it does. That's what it does. Instead of starting from here, from how Blender names, we can just offset the index, the corner index that is resulted from here. Instead of starting from here, we can start from here, then we continue with the same flow. Start from here, then we continue with the flow. Start from here and we can continue with the flow. Or you can even inverse, because it's an integer here, it can go negative, so you can minus and we can sort of move so that the flow can go in this direction. Okay, I'm sorry I'm making like a mess, but I'm trying to prove a certain point. Okay, so let me rub his, and vertex of corner is really self-explanatory, because a face corner can only have one single vertex, and vertex of corner gives that information. Like this corner, its index is it's attached to an index that is a vertex that has an index of this, simple like that. Moving on, we have these nodes that are very similar and very powerful because of simply this weights index. That's all. And the information where they give this information was all going to the face corners, but for this one, like edges of vertex, corners of faces, corners of vertex. They go to the vertex. For those are written vertex, corners of faces, the information goes to faces. Okay, simply like that. So what does it do? I'm going to demonstrate one thing, and that I'm going to demonstrate is the corner of index. I think I'll maybe try if I can in the end of the video. So what it does is very simple. See, this, trying to explain this one, a vertex, like this one here. Let me go to vertex mode. A vertex like this one here is connected to 3 edges. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and you want information of one of the edges. Okay, like for example, this edge is, they wanted to have this information, like how long is the longest edge connected to it, and you can do it using this node. Okay, and how exactly are you going to do that? This is where the magic of the weights and the sort index come along, and it works the same way in the corner index. Okay, whereby, see, if you connect, find a way using like the edge vertices, where you can find the position of each vertex connected to an edge, and find like the distance. You can connect it to the weights, and what Blender will do in the sort index is that with the weights that you have connected, it's going to assign the values to the edges connected to it, values depending on increasing continuously increasing the weights. For example, let's take an example, this vertex over here. This vertex, this edge is, we can make it longer just for demonstration purposes. We can make this one maybe the shortest one, like grab it to here. Okay, let me just rub. We can make this the shortest one, this make it the middle one, and this is obviously the longest one. So when you write like the weights and like make a geometry node system where it tells you the length of every edge, so what is done is very simple. When you connect that, Blender will see that this is the shortest edge using that weights, so this will mark 0. This is full to be the longest, then it will mark it as 1. This is the longest of them all, it will mark it as 2. And just by the sort index, these are indexes assigned specifically for that vertex with respect to those edges. And using the sort index, you'll be able to, when you write 0, you'll be selecting the smallest. When you write 1, you'll be selecting the longest. When you write 2, you'll be selecting the longest of them all. And that works in the same way for all this. A corner, a face can have a lot of corners, but you want to select one that maybe has the longest edges of them all. By using the mesh, you can combine this mesh topology by using like the edge indexes, like adding them up, this one adding that one up, adding, and by using the sort index, you can find that corner is maybe has the longest edges connected to it, or you can choose like the corners, which corner has the sharpest angle, by using some mathematics that you assign to the weights, because it's different like other places, like the accumulate field node, like it's in its addition, or it's based on indexes named by Blender. But weights, it's you choose how is the order, like what do you want. Do you want the first one to be the shortest edge? Like what information are you assigning to these corners, to these vertices that you want to select? and that's all. It's they basically work the same way, and you can use them to make a very advanced grouped statistic node, which I am thinking of making, because my previous one that I was currently using, um I was trying to use raycasting, which was by sampling, and I feel like it was very complicated. But right now, it was this mesh topology nodes makes it very powerful and more awesome, and I hope you find this useful and maybe make something cool out of this. I know I've not done anything cool, like I haven't made something done something good, something very beautiful. It was just mainly educational, and I hope this video will help somebody out there. And I hope that the mic is not scratching, because I tried my best to fix that solution. And I hope you can hear me more clearly right now. And thanks for tuning in and staying till right now, and you're watching this till this moment, and I hope you have learned something in geometry nodes. And if you find this video useful, click that subscribe and tell me in the comments. Thank you.